Good morning on this very warm morning. My name is Shante Cherie Abdul Rahman, and I am very privileged this morning to sing the acknowledgement of country for you. This piece, Long Time Living Here, was written by Auntie Carolyn Briggs and Auntie Faye Muir, and the music was composed by the wonderful Deborah Cheatham Frayon. It is such an honor to sing in language. This piece is written in the language of the Bunwarang, Woiwurrung, Wurundjeri people. Please enjoy Long Time Living Here. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I've also been asked this morning to sing the national anthem. So if we have any beautiful voices in the audience, please join me. And this will be a cappella, so we'll all sound glorious. Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing. Advance Australia fair. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning and welcome to the 22nd Annual Legal Laneway Breakfast. I'm Melissa Caston, a board member of the Victorian Law Foundation. And first I'd like to thank Shantae Cherie for her beautiful singing this morning and her acknowledgement of country. So if you could join me again in thanking her. I'd also like to thank the Victorian Women Lawyers and the Victorian Bar for co-sponsoring Shantae's performance this morning. It is wonderful to have so many of you joining us from across the legal sector, and together with Lynn Holtain, our Executive Director, I do extend a very warm welcome to you all. This event started 2 decades ago so that legal professionals could come together in a convivial way to mark the beginning of the legal year, and today we're delighted to be joined by 2 very special guests, our Attorney-General, Sonia Kilkenny MP, and Vincent Shin, the Program Manager from West Justice Community Legal Centre. We very much look forward to hearing from them. But I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge some of the distinguished leaders of the legal community who are joining us here this morning. The Honourable Peter Kidd, Chief Judge of the County Court, and all the other distinguished judges of the County Court, the esteemed members of the Judiciary from the Magistrates Court and VCAT, the Honourable Tony North KC, Commissioner for the Yurok Justice Commission, Fiona McClay, CEO and Commissioner for the Victorian Legal Services Board and Commission, and many other distinguished commissioners who are joining us this morning, and leaders of the major legal organisations and peak bodies across the profession. The list got a little bit long, so I'm very sorry I can't say your names individually, but I love you all. It is a privilege to have the Attorney-General with us for her first Legal Laneway Breakfast. I'd like to introduce to you the Honourable Sonia Kilkenny MP, the Member for Carrum in the Legislative Assembly, and also the Minister for Planning. Before entering Parliament, Ms Kilkenny was a lawyer in commercial litigation, banking and finance. She also worked for the Kimberley Land Council in Broome and has been on the boards of the National Theatre and Back to Back Theatre. Her vision for Victoria is as an outstanding place to live and work. She wants to see an inclusive state with a strong emphasis on technological innovation, local manufacturing, educational pathways and a continuing commitment to equality. The areas of public policy that she's most passionate about include education and training, transitioning our energy sector to renewables and unlocking opportunities for women in the workforce. Please make welcome our attorney. We look forward to hearing from you.
Well, good morning, everyone. And actually, it's not my first Legal Laneway Breakfast. I remember coming down here when the Honourable Jill Hennessy was Attorney-General, and it was a fantastic morning. I think we've got more people here this morning. But may I start by please acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands of the Wadjurrung, Woiwurrung, Bunurong peoples of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my deepest respect to elders past and present. I recognise their unbroken connection to country and I honour their rights as custodians of these lands and pass on my respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. Thank you to Shantae Cherie for that just beautiful welcome to country. I don't think I've been so moved before. What an outstanding voice. Thank you for sharing it with us this morning. Professor Melissa Caston, Board Member, Victoria Law Foundation, and Lynn Holtain, Executive Director, Victoria Law Foundation. But of course to members of the Judiciary, Commissioners, heads of peak bodies and legal organisations and members of the legal community here today. Thank you for inviting me to join all of you, and thank you to the Victoria Law Foundation for hosting this morning's Legal Laneway Breakfast. I think it's fair to say that I cannot exactly claim that I expected to be here with you this morning to mark the start of the legal year, but due to a few movements at the end of last year, here I am. And can I say that I am absolutely honoured and privileged to join all of you, so many from across the legal profession, as your new Attorney General. And can I take the opportunity to acknowledge each of you for your contributions, your valuable contributions, and for all of the tireless work you do to ensure our laws serve Victorians. and of course for all the work you do to ensure our justice system works to keep our Victorians safe, but keep them strong, where fairness, trust, social accountability, and compassion are absolutely essential. Like many of you, I started my career in the law in private practice. But as you heard, I also had the immense privilege of working for a few years in the northwestern part of Australia, working for the Kimberley Land Council in Broome. That experience has had a truly profound impact on me, and that we live in a country that boasts the oldest continuing culture in the world is a source of immense pride to me. I entered Parliament just over 10 years ago as the member for Carrum. I won that seat on a margin of just over 500 votes. I think it's fair to say I don't take anything or anyone for granted. And I've taken my experience from legal practice into a wide range of places and portfolios, from early childhood education, which I am so passionate about, to fishing and boating, which I understand a lot of others are very passionate about, and outdoor recreation, and of course more recently into planning, which is again something that I didn't appreciate how much it impacts our daily life, but now of course as Attorney General. And for me, what a time to be coming back to the law. I think it's fair to say it's never really quiet on the government's reform agenda, but I really feel like we're at an inflection point with global issues and global conflicts playing right here at home. And we're at a time when we've never had so much access to information, yet we're plagued by so much misinformation. We're at a time where we've never had a greater commitment to, but a greater scepticism towards meaningful community engagement. And we're at a time as well where we demand honesty, but sometimes reject those quite uncomfortable truths. So I think this makes a really critical time for us now to be decisive, to put the interests of Victorians, all Victorians, first, to ensure that our communities remain strong and supported, and that we work together to uphold our shared values. I've inherited some really great reforms, and I want to acknowledge the work of my predecessor, Jacqueline Symes, who is now Victoria's first female Treasurer. And I think it's important to note just a few of these wins. I'm talking about being the first Australian state to raise the minimum age of criminal responsibility to 12 without exceptions. I'm talking about banning the Nazi salute and dangerous conversion practices, about cracking down on organised crime, creating a standalone offence for non-fatal strangulation, and legalising voluntary assisted dying, about introducing an affirmative consent model for sexual offences, strengthening the law around image-based sexual offences, and introducing jury directions to address common misconceptions about violence, about sexual violence. I'm also talking about our critical reforms to the Bail Act. They only came into operation in December, just over 2 months ago. We need to ensure that the decision to grant or deny bail is about the risk that the person poses to the community. We've acted to ensure tough consequences for alleged offenders, those that pose a risk to community safety or who have repeatedly committed serious offences. We'll also begin a trial of electronic monitoring of bail for repeat high-risk young offenders later this year. There is no shortage of work to do, and of course we will be debating our anti-vilification and social cohesion bill. This is a piece of work that is particularly important to me and important to our state government. We are also continuing to crack down on family violence and coercive control, noting that family violence is our number one law and order issue in this state. We have reforms underway to strengthen family violence intervention order and safety notice schemes and to clarify the offence of stalking. These reforms confirm our very strong commitment to supporting victims, holding offenders accountable, and building on Victoria's world-leading response to family violence. The profession, all of you, play such a critical role in this law reform work, not just by sharing your insights and experiences to help guide their design and then enlivening those laws by interpreting them and applying them and giving effect. It's also the role of our profession as officers of the court to help embody and reinforce the legal norms that underpin our society. I think this is crucial, like no other time. It is so important that we work to ensure that we support and promote our shared values. And this is where vital organisations like the Victoria Law Foundation, who are putting on today's fantastic event, along with many organisations you each represent, but also each of you individually, are essential in bridging the gap between the people we serve and our profession. And as we move forward into the year, I do want to leave you with one thought, and I think it is important for each of you in your profession to reflect on this, and that is the work you do is meaningful. It quite literally changes people's lives. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I want to thank you, and I am grateful for all of the work you do. Thank you again for your work, your care, and your compassion. As I said, it does not go unnoticed. Enjoy your breakfast this morning, and I look forward to working with all of you in my new role as Attorney General. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the Attorney General for her inaugural speech at the Legal Laneway Breakfast, even if she has been before in another capacity. Good morning to you. I'm Lynn Haltane. I'm the Executive Director of the Victoria Law Foundation, and it is always a thrill to see the Legal Laneway packed and a delight given the weather and whether or not it's going to rain. We can never tell, though I'm delighted to report to you that it has never rained on my legal laneways, so I'm holding to that standard today as well. Let me introduce you now to our next speaker, Vincent Shin. You might have heard of Vincent. You might have seen the Australian Story. He was Australia's first full-time school lawyer, working through West Justice at Grange College in Hoppers Crossing. As he has said, putting a lawyer in a school is a no-brainer. Young people face all kinds of legal issues: work, intimate relationships, driving, debt, and of course they can be absolutely in the front line when it comes to family violence and dysfunction and family breakdown. A lawyer on site in schools gives young people basic information on rights and responsibilities, and the capacity to take on cases or to refer young people to the right service. All of this makes absolutely perfect sense. And as some of you will also know, Vincent's own path to the law was tough. And there are many in his world, and I'm sure Vincent is probably among them, who never quite imagined when he left school that he would be accepted into a law school and now practicing in the profession. But he has made an absolutely extraordinary contribution. His story exemplifies how great lawyers can come from unexpected places, bringing diverse perspectives, a breadth of life experience, huge determination, and a deep passion for fairness. If we mean it when we talk about access to justice, then Vincent's story has an awful lot to teach us on so many levels. So let me introduce you now to Vincent Shin. Thank you so much for coming.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vincent Shin. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today, the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my deepest respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal people present today. I've been a lawyer for 10 years now, and I'm a program manager in the Children and Young People's Rights Program at West Justice. West Justice is a community legal centre based in the western suburbs of Melbourne. I am not your typical lawyer, and I say this for two reasons. Firstly, we as community lawyers do things slightly differently to conventional lawyers. We're able to do innovative work to ensure that our most vulnerable and marginalised members of our community are provided with access to justice. One example of this is the School Lawyer program that I worked on directly and now manage. The School Lawyer program is where we provide a youth lawyer in situ at our partner schools to provide them with legal education, legal advice and legal representation. We are embedded in the wellbeing team at each of our schools, and although we do real lawyering, as the kids like to say, we also deliver legal education sessions in classes on topics like bullying, consent, family violence, police powers, employment rights, and many more. We see legal education as a strong preventative tool for young people in preventing them from unnecessary involvement with the justice system. This is because in our sessions, we teach them about their legal rights, but also their legal responsibilities on the topics that we cover. Secondly, my journey to becoming a lawyer was unconventional. I did horribly in Year 12. I grew up with family violence in the home, and my father was in prison for attempted murder. Due to my horrible VCE score, it took me many years of applications to be finally accepted into law school. I completed a 2-year legal practice diploma at TAFE and a semester of arts at uni before I was accepted into law school at Victoria University. I did not have any connections with the legal industry when I was growing up. One person I did meet, however, when I was completing my placement as part of my TAFE course was Magistrate Paul Smith. He was a mentor to me for many years, and I cannot understate how pivotal he was in my successes. He provided numerous reference letters, and when I was a law student, he had on countless occasions explained to me what I'd observed in his courtroom. I strongly believe that if it weren't for him, I would not have been accepted into law school and would not have achieved all my successes to date. I'd like to close with some final remarks. Don't underestimate the impact you can have on more junior lawyers and law students, and consider mentoring in any capacity that you can. The legal industry brings together people from all walks of life. Embrace our differences, as these differences makes for a more well-rounded sector that caters to all the legal needs of our community. Thank you for your attention and enjoy your breakfast.
Thanks, Vincent. So kind of you to join us this morning. It's a great privilege to have the calibre of people like Vincent with us for the Legal Laneway Breakfast. Well, it is never an opportunity that goes past at an occasion like this for me not to take a few minutes to tell you about what's happening at the Victoria Law Foundation in 2025. I will give you a very brief snapshot, and then clearly the point of today's occasion, i.e. the networking, can resume. In research, we delivered late last year the third of our major reports in the Public Understanding of Law survey, and if you haven't seen it, I thoroughly recommend a quick Google search. It's an extraordinary undertaking and one that gives you exceptional insight into the experience of Victorians and the law. There is a lot more to come on that huge data set, so you'll be hearing about that for years to come. We've kicked off a new project called Measure for Measure on what makes effective response to common legal problems in our community. And there will be a report delivered on that later in the year, and it's very exciting work in terms of identifying the key characteristics that make for successful community response to legal issues. And we also sent a bunch of people to Toronto, to the Access to Justice Forum from across our legal assistance sector, to be part of that global discussion on barriers and the brilliant ideas in delivering access to justice. And only when you attend occasions like that do you realise how much we have in common. It's extraordinary how global our issues and challenges are, but also how fortunate we are to have the functional legal assistance sector that we do, and the commitment of the private profession as well in so much pro bono work. In grants, we awarded 6 of our major grants, the first round of major grants at the end of last year, supporting research projects by other agencies and impressive legal education initiatives. And don't forget, if you'd like to apply for an everyday legal grant, please check our website and contact Mel Rigel, our grants manager. It is still open. In education, we continue to zigzag across the state through our Law Talks and Classroom Law Talks activities, incredibly popular with schools. And we are indebted, as always, to so many of you who give so generously of your time to talk to young people about your experience of the law and to give them an insight into what can be, from the outside, regarded as a pretty intimidating profession. We will be in Horsham in May for Law Talks as part of Law Week this year, and we will also be presenting community law talks in Horsham. So Law Week, just around the corner. It's the 3rd week of May, and if you've got ideas about events you'd like to run for Law Week, then please don't hesitate to get in touch, and we will assist you in every way we possibly can. So let's wrap it there and give you a chance to have a coffee and a chat. Finally, my very sincere thanks to all our participants today, to the Attorney-General, Sonia Kilkenny MP, to Vincent Shin, Program Manager at West Justice, Professor Melissa Caston, our board member and Director of the Caston Centre for Human Rights Law, our very kind sponsors and intrepid volunteers from Victorian Women Lawyers and the Vic Bar, and also to our Auslan interpreters, Cindy and Kim. Thank you so much. My sincere thanks also to the VLF team who pull this together every year, and as you can imagine, the early hour makes this challenging. Wrangled by Kate Sedgwick, Vicky Doig and Nikita Batch, and ably supported by the entire VLF staff team. Thank you so much to all of you, and to you for coming. Have a fine day, stay dry and cool, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Cheers.